Hey guys, today you will see I am in the combat beta, the dreaded thing that many people do not want to come into the game, and some people are accepting as a new part of the game, accepting that something has to happen for the game to move on, because quite frankly, it's not doing too well right now. I'm sorry, I was looking back in my past video and it sounded pretty depressing. I was not very exciting to listen to at all, so hopefully I can do a little bit better this video. So sure, I was sad not getting any views, and that video got even less views, but that's not what matters. I'm just trying to do this for fun because honestly RuneScape isn't fun if I'm not doing something that I enjoy, and currently the game itself isn't providing much. Maybe the combat beta will provide this new interesting point of the game where we'll be able to enjoy the game, where right now it's kind of like a chore. Like, you just get on, and when you get home it's like, oh, back from school, let's go log on to RuneScape. It's just natural habit. It's like, it's not that we log on because, oh yeah, hell yeah, I get to go play RuneScape now. Oh yeah. That's not the mindset that people are in. They're like, oh, gotta get on, gotta slave out some skills, maybe get that max cape one day. It's not really that fun anymore, is it? It's sure you might log on to talk to your friends and stuff, but remember those days where you were a beginner, just barely starting, where you were so lost in it because you didn't know what to do. And so I almost don't want to know everything about the EOC because, quite frankly, I want that back. And I really gotta go, so I'll cut this clip. Hey, sorry I was interrupted on that last clip. But anyways, back to where I left off. Like, we know everything about the game almost. Like, is it even fun anymore? Like, I miss those days wandering through Lumbridge, killing goblins. Like, some people, that phase lasted a lot longer than others. I remember trying to get my first black dagger by killing goblins around Lumbridge, and it took a long time. And I remember trying to snipe like iron plate bodies out of the general store, and I don't know where the heck I'm going right now. Get him back over there. But anyways, the EOC basically has to happen because change is a necessity. Things can't stay the same when the world around them is changing, because no matter how great they are, they're going to be outdated. You may think that it's perfect the way it is, and it may be perfect the way it is, and it might be getting a downgrade, but if it's seen as outdated, then who's going to play a perfect but outdated game? It might be a downgrade, but overall it's a necessity and a good investment for Jagex. It's just one of those things that it's really sad to see the old combat system go, but it has to happen. But it is, I guess, pretty beneficial for some skilling. Mining is going to be a lot faster now because superheating is going to be a lot easier, and it's going to be a lot easier to drop the ores. And just general skilling, where instead of having to wait 2 minutes while you drop a whole inventory, or the pain of trying to set up mouse keys, it's going to be more convenient. And Jagex has put so much time into this update. I think even if they realized that it was going to be a very bad thing for their game, they'd still imply it because it's been on their calendar as a deadline and as a huge project for a while, and they keep on pushing it back and pushing it back. And even if it's not ready, they almost have to release it because they have to do something at this point. They've put so much development time into it that they have nothing else to release. They've put so much time and effort into putting this out that they haven't spent enough time developing other aspects of the game. And if they go on a huge dry streak with no updates, that's not going to be good. and you're going to have even more people quitting. As for my thought on people quitting, I really think they should give it a chance, because hey, you might find that little kid in you completely lost in the game again. Sure, you might not be as AFKable, but like, do you play the game because you enjoy AFKing, or do you enjoy it, your skills, once you've finished AFK training, which I can understand, but they have the momentum ability. Sure, it's kind of a pain. I've used it quite a bit. I've done a lot of testing in the beta, but you can almost AFK as easily spamming basic abilities and then a threshold every once in a while. This is just my average training bar that I'll probably be using, because I have almost no experience in the beta. I'll try and use that to get 95, might go for 99 attack. It just depends how I like the system once it comes out. I'm not going to be trying to power that out before the beta comes out, because I don't know, it would be kind of fun to figure out. I'll probably be doing a lot of Slayer during the beta. Well, not during the beta, but once the EOC is implemented into the real game. But aside from that, peers are basically ruined. I've made plenty of peers over my several years of playing RuneScape, and they're fun. They're fun to use, but honestly, a new breed of peers will come into the game. Sure, it won't be the same that it is now, but if you look at the way abilities are set up, I'm pretty sure they can be manipulated pretty easily, because it's not going to be what strength levels can you get as high as you can with only having 60 attack and as low defense as you can, but like the lowest defense level you can have with certain abilities, because your certain defensive abilities, say you only need up to reflect, then you're only going to be getting 37 defense. And I don't know if they'll be called reflect peers or what they'll be called, because the reason that defense is so strong in the beta is because of abilities and their different uses, where freedom is going to be huge, because without it, if you get stunned and you're somewhat near low HP and they have a threshold or ultimate ability to use, then you're kind of screwed, because there's no way you can eat up that fast after you're done being stunned, or you're just going to die while you're stunned because you can't eat while you're stunned. So this is basically a necessity to have, which you'll need 34 defense for, but are you going to need reflect? Are you going to need renaissance? It's just, people will be trying to get as low defense as they can. It's just going to be based on abilities and which different shields they can have, which it doesn't really matter which shield you have as long as you have a shield in that defense level, because you can have a wooden shield and it'll almost do the same effects, because I don't know if you guys know Smokey, but number one PVMer out there, he's demonstrated multiple times in his videos that when you're PKing, bot gear, if you know what you're doing, bot gear has a high chance of beating out Torva every time, because it's just that it really depends on what abilities you use at what times, not so much what levels you have, where you might have a higher strength level, but if they have a lot of the abilities do 188% more damage. Why can I not find this? There you go. A lot of them have that higher weapon damage, and so even if you have almost twice as many strength levels, if they have 188% weapon damage with an attack ability that they need 15 attack, well, if they have 10 attack and a lot higher strength, you're still going to be out hitting them by hitting more often and hitting higher. So it's just things like that are going to be taken into mind, and it's like, it's kind of unfair how balanced it is, because before, if you wanted to hit higher, you train strength. Now you could keep your strength low but hit twice as high by getting 15 attack. So if you're at 13 attack and 10 strength and you want to hit higher, you might as well just get the 15 attack and then have to worry about upping your strength because you almost doubled your strength ability using this basic ability, where these ultimates are even more powered. And I do like how they're adding passive abilities instead of just completely making some weapons worthless, because like the God Swords, the reason why they're in the game is their special effects. And if you were to take that off of them, there's not really a use for them in the game. There's other weapons that are stronger or an equivalent that are a lot easier to obtain. And like AGS, one of the #1 weapons in the game because it's amazing spec. And Dragon Claws, I don't know what they do with Dragon Claws. I really hope they'll add some sort of passive ability that will be useful instead of just trying to go off of their cosmetic effect, because right now it's pretty pathetic that the game, it's going to be based on what your opponent's weakness is and whether you have, which is weird because I don't like how you can't switch styles with your, like, with different swords. Like with a rapier, you can only stab. So if you're up against something that is weaker to slash, you're better off using a worse weapon than the rapier, which I was testing the other day, and double dragon mace was doing much, much better than my chaotic rapier with abilities and with just momentum. So it's supposed to be almost the equivalent to the normal system. So Slayer is going to be a lot different unless they change that, and it's going to come down to that and their abilities. Honestly, if you're spamming keys, smashing your keyboard, it's not going to matter if your opponent has a little bit more advantage on you. It really is going to be skill, but it's not going to be long until people figure out which sequences are the best. And right now, someone who goes into the wilderness with the current system, they can't just go in there and have luck. Like, sure, a lot of this system is based on luck, but still, there's quite a bit of skill involved. If you don't believe me and you've never really PK'd, then I don't think you have much room to talk about that. I'm not that much into PKing, and sure, there's not too much skill involved, but it takes practice, knowing when to eat, where other people will keep you in check, calling you safing, even though with the current system it's almost impossible to safe. When we've seen these DH hits over 990 saying that unless you're boosted above normal HP, that you really are not safe, and so calling someone a safe or otherwise is pretty much worthless, because it is impossible to safe unless maybe you're in full Torva praying mage with the divine on, which there's not much chance of you getting dropped then, but still, there's a chance. And if there's a chance, it's always going to happen to a few people. And I'm sure you've seen different videos out there of it happening, and that must really suck for those people. But overall, I think the beta is a necessity. It's going to be a hard transfer. It's not going to be the most fun thing at first. It's going to be better for the game in the long run, which means the game will actually be there, instead of if they try and hold on to the past of the game, like all these people are going to 06 Scape. It's like, how long do you think that site's going to be up? How long do you think the actual game would be up if they tried to keep it at 06 Scape? Like, how many new players would they get? Probably 0. And then you have people just moving on with their lives, or other things causing them to quit. Jagex knows that in the long run with that, they might keep and get some of their old players back, but their numbers are going to slowly diminish, and they're not going to get new players. Where with this, so many people are threatening to quit that they're going to drop in numbers quite a bit, I believe. A lot of those people will probably come back eventually once they find out it's not that bad. But also, they'll be back in the market as a competitive game, because right now, with the combat system being so old, you don't see RuneScape as a competitive game. Like, if anyone talks about it, they're usually shunned for it. If anyone talks about it at school, it's not the greatest thing. Like, people can talk about different Xbox games and stuff, but if you play RuneScape, oh, that's a bad thing, because people just don't understand the game and they see it as such an old, outdated, and childish game, where all these updates should completely change that. So I want you guys to give the game a chance. There are a lot more opportunities now that the botters won't be able to run as efficiently because they won't know the new system. And even so, bots are probably only going to run on momentum, which means if you're trying to out-hit a bot on any monster, you can probably out-hit it pretty easily by using any abilities. Spamming these two abilities, this one sometimes, and then these two. Like, I just spam those keys and I do a lot better than what I do with momentum. So I might be just mashing keys, and that might be what Jagex considers skill in the new system, but hey, it works, and which means for me, I'll be getting faster XP than I do in the normal game, unless I haven't actually figured it. But now that strength bonuses are gone, and it's now critical chances, I don't know if that will affect the actual rates in the current system, because they say that momentum is the same as the current, but I believe it's quite a bit slower, because in the current system... Hey, sorry, once again, I was interrupted and had to stop the video. So, picking up, I do think with momentum, the game's going to be slower. With basic abilities, I think it's going to be faster training, but momentum isn't the same as the current system. Sure, it's trying to replicate it, but unless you severely need to AFK and watch a TV show or something, I don't really recommend it. Maybe for the first little while as you're getting accustomed to the game, but other than that, I really don't recommend it. And I didn't mean to blabber on this long on this video, but I just want to get to the point. I have a method that I was testing out money making when the AOC does come into the game. It's a solid, when I was testing it, where I was testing it with the gear I was testing it, was about 4.5 mil an hour, and I wasn't testing it with maxed gear, Torva, and Chaotix. I was testing it with lower level stuff, just so that I can see an average of what people would get. I'll expand on that and do some more research if you guys want me to. I'll put up a guide on the different profit zones by the time the EOC comes out. There's many different locations, so I would have to do a lot more testing, but if this video gets a good response, then I will put that out, and I'll probably put it out anyways, even if it doesn't, but it would really help motivate me to do a better job on the guide and get you more accurate information, so you know what to do when the EOC comes out to make that money. Unless the spots are crowded, which I really doubt that all those spots will be crowded until someone can write a bot script on it, it's impossible for the profit to go up or down, because the price is going to be secured. It's not a fluctuating price. Your profit per hour will be a nice consistent, and you won't have to worry about fluctuating prices and if you're profiting or not. And I really hope you guys have a good time. Comment your ideas. If you guys have any suggestions, any pointers that I need to follow, whatever you guys want to say about the EOC, and comment any support on me making my guide. And thanks for your time. Bye.